All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to demystify a really powerful tool for any business that's serious about being resilient. It's called the compliance gap analysis. Now, I know it sounds a little corporate and dry, but stick with me here. This is basically your secret weapon for turning potential chaos into real confidence.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever had that feeling? The one where an email lands in your inbox from a regulator or maybe a huge potential client, and they want to audit your business continuity program tomorrow? Suddenly, it's just this frantic, all-hands-on-deck scramble to find documents and prove you're ready. It's a ton of stress, and it's exactly what we're here to talk about getting rid of.
Because, let's be honest, when you're caught unprepared, the stakes are incredibly high. And we're not just talking about stress. You could be looking at serious regulatory findings, maybe even financial penalties. Or, even worse, you could lose a big deal to a competitor who can prove they're resilient. And all those last-minute patched-together efforts, they never really look that convincing, do they?
So how do you get ahead of the game? Well, you do it by minding the compliance gap. This isn't about just reacting. It's a proactive solution that completely flips the script on that audit chaos.
So what is this thing really? You might hear it called a current state assessment. It's the same idea. Just think of it like a complete health checkup for your business program. It's a structured, methodical way to compare what you're actually doing day to day against established standards, things like ISO 22301 or privacy rules like GDPR. The whole point is to find out where you're strong, but more importantly, where those critical gaps are hiding. And I love this quote because it gets to the heart of it. A gap analysis isn't just about finding problems. That's only half the story. It's a diagnostic device that tells you exactly what's wrong, and it's a planning tool that gives you the blueprint to fix it. It doesn't just point out vulnerabilities, it helps you build the roadmap to get them resolved.
And the good news is, this process isn't some kind of mysterious, complicated art form. It's actually a pretty clear, manageable blueprint. So let's walk through the 5 key steps that take you from that feeling of uncertainty to real clarity.
Okay, so here's the game plan. Step 1, define your scope. This is all about focus. You decide exactly which frameworks, which departments you're going to look at, so you don't end up trying to boil the ocean. Step 2 is to gather intel. This is your evidence collection phase. You're pulling together all your key documents like policies, old audit reports, that kind of thing. Then, step 3, assess the current state. This is where you really dig in, you evaluate your policies, and, this is critical, you test if your controls actually work in the real world. Step 4 is all about prioritizing the gaps. Look, you can't fix everything at once, so you have to rank the gaps by risk, high, medium, or low. And finally, step 5, develop a roadmap. This is your action plan. You create a concrete plan with specific actions, timelines, and you assign owners to make sure the fixes actually happen.
Now, doing a gap analysis is a game changer, but only if you do it right. So let's talk about 4 really common traps that can completely derail the whole thing, even if you have the best intentions.
First up, and this is a huge one, treating this like a one-and-done project. Your business is always changing, right? New people, new processes, new risks. An assessment that just sits on a shelf collecting dust becomes useless fast. The best organizations treat this like a cycle, something they revisit at least once a year.
The second pitfall is stalling out after that first big push. A lot of companies start strong, they focus on their most critical departments, and then they just stop. This creates this really dangerous false sense of security because it leaves other parts of your business completely exposed. You've got to see it all the way through.
And that brings us to pitfall number 3, letting your program get stale because you're using old information. Look, your analysis is only as good as the data it's based on. If your business impact analysis is, say, 3 years old, your recovery priorities are probably way out of sync with how your business works today. An auditor will spot that in a second, and your whole program's credibility is shot.
And finally, even if you have a strong program, it can fail if you forget to reassess your core assumptions. The plan that was absolutely perfect 2 years ago might be totally inadequate for your business today. As you grow, new parts of the business become critical. New vendors introduce new risks. You constantly have to ask, does our plan still match our reality? But if you can avoid those pitfalls, the payoff is huge. It's not just about taking a compliance box. It's about making a fundamental shift, moving your whole organization from a state of uncertainty to one of real, earned confidence.
This slide really says it all. Before you do this work, there's confusion. You feel vulnerable. You're always in reactive mode, just putting out fires. Afterwards, you get clarity. You become truly resilient.
It fundamentally changes your posture from being reactive to being proactive. You're on the front foot, not the back foot.
And the benefits are so tangible, you actually understand your weaknesses before they turn into a crisis. You can make way smarter, more informed decisions about where to spend your time and money. You have clear, hard evidence of your preparedness to show auditors and clients. And maybe most importantly, you get to prioritize improvements based on what will have the biggest positive impact on the business.
And if we look to the horizon for just a second, this whole world is getting even smarter. Technologies like AI and large language models are starting to transform compliance, moving it away from those periodic manual checks to a model of intelligent, continuous monitoring. The goal is to make staying compliant just a seamless, automated part of how you run your business, not some frantic event that happens once a year.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Your business is changing. The risks you face are changing. The regulations are changing. Everything is in motion. The only real question is your resilience plan keeping up?